No persuading, heading to the round where he just got.
G'day everyone, welcome back to the LCO DoorDash and all of that crazy stuff. It's fun, it's great, it's exciting. And I am MacMate, once again, ready to cast, host, and do everything on this show. Tell you what, maybe it's not all about me. Maybe it's about you guys back at home who have been sending in some wonderful content for us to take a look at. Let's jump into From the Fans and show you exactly what you sent to us. That doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? But hey, that's me. Spot the difference. Can anyone spot the difference? I don't think my nose is that big.
There is a significant nose difference, and perhaps the fact that the eyebrows are attached to the mustache, but otherwise identical.
We need a cowboy hat. That's what we need to take the show on the road.
Is that a cowboy hat, or is that just a giant egg backpack?
And with that question, I think we'll move on to the next From the Fans segment. Let's find out what it is. And this one is, looks like a shirt submission from Fedora the Explorer. So what do you guys think? Is this a better shirt than what we've got on? I like it. It's got pineapples. I rate that.
Well, now it becomes a question of who has the better pineapple shirt, like Fedora the Explorer or Nat, right?
Or Nat,
First of all, your name is fantastic also, but yeah, who has the better pineapple shirt?
I need to give a special shout out to Fedora the Explorer for not putting his nipples in this photo. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But it is an issue. We've addressed it in the past, and we're putting it behind us. Thank you, Fedora the Explorer.
I don't know what that issue is, Rusty, but I look forward to finding out what that was all about. Anyway, you know what else I'm looking forward to? It's our next match for today. This one's going to be a banger. Oh, no, the mustache got stuck in my mouth again. It's happening again. Pentanet versus Order. What are we looking at here for this one, fellas? This is going to be an interesting matchup because these two teams at the moment are sitting at a fairly even scoreline.
7-4.
And also both having a 2-0 week so far.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to look forward to between this matchup, right? Order seemingly in red-hot form coming into this week, and Pentanet.gg, you could say the same thing. Their first win, back into it, you're like, okay. Like, in the interviews, they're like, oh, we're just, proving to everyone that we can still win, so just calm down. But now they're just doing it in a row, so it seems like they are actually back on the trajectory of let's push for that first place again. And it makes it for an interesting match today. All
right, Skimmy, let's talk about Order first. I know you're a big Order fan. You sometimes like to order up. What are you ordering up from DoorDash? I don't know. I don't care. But tell me about Order.
Well, I'll tell you some things about Order. Maximize got verified, right? He's got the big tick of approval from Twitter to say that he may just be the most handsome, tall, elite gamer in the top lane. So I'm excited to see what he can do with that newfound confidence. Maybe a little bit of ego as well to go with it, but we'll wait and see. On the flip side of things, Beats has been consistently impressing, but for me, the most exciting part, we just saw a bot lane weak side matchup. Puma's the flip side of that. His number is actually better than Violet and Praetor at the moment, right? He's got the highest damage per minute, the highest kill participation in the entire league. The guy's been Mr. Consistent. He's racked up individually a ton of MVPs himself, and if he finds himself a good matchup, a comp built around him, that might be the difference maker.
Yeah, interesting that you mentioned Praetor. Obviously, he's going to be on the other side of the field. We talk about Pentanet here, Rusty, and they were coming through as the reigning champions. I suppose they technically still are, but does it necessarily feel like that is the case? Back to a 2-0 streak, so maybe things are on the up and up for Pentanet.
Certainly seems to be the way, right? And shame on Pabu, first of all, for giving a terrible birthday present to Sybil, delivering that L. But otherwise, you would say, they've come back to play. They're showing good form more consistently. And one of the big issues that was discussed, I believe, when Nat had Chaz and Pabu in the interview on Wednesday was that there is always one person that seems to be underperforming. And the way that this team managed to stay undefeated through the first split was by compensating, right? You perform exceptionally if someone's performing poorly, and that's how you make the great team, right? That's how you make the first place team that gets to go internationally. So we're starting to see a little bit more of that, where on Wednesday, Praetor had an absolute banger.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the moment we're starting to see it come back together. The wheels are starting to get put back on the vehicle at the moment. Skimmy, are you back on the Pentanet hype train, or are you still waiting to see a little bit more?
I actually am. I think we've seen just enough of it to say, okay, they're starting to fire on all cylinders once again. They were a team to be feared of in Split 1 for good reason too, because they would gap you, they would make teams, just get embarrassed. And they would just outperform. And, stylistically, I've always found this matchup interesting, given the fact that Pentanet will be so aggressive, but it's a very different team from Split 1 to Split 2. And, you know, this is the previous matchup when they played it, right? So I'm keen to see who can be the difference maker, who can rise up to try and elevate Order here tonight.
Yeah, does it feel like a different looking Order to you at the moment, Rusty? I mean, this was a week 3 matchup, so just for the context there, that's how that sort of panned out. It was quite close early on, but then Pentanet, again, through superior sort of late game play, mid game play, tended to get the better of Order. But I got to say, I feel like Order's been looking pretty good. Beats Puma down in that bot lane, particularly when Puma's on the Ziggs. Is there much of a shot today for Order?
Yeah, the interesting thing with Order, I don't think that this is a different Order to what we're used to seeing this week, but I do think it's a more practiced, rehearsed, and well-oiled machine is probably how I would describe it. Their draft strategies have been fantastic coming into this week. Their execution on the Rift has also been great. And, you know, those players that have had pressure put on them, right? Like Max picking Jax into the Camille matchup against a Camille main, definitely putting pressure on him to say, you've got the counter, win the lane, gets the solo kills, right? So there's a lot to look forward to with Order if they came into the today equally as prepared as they have on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Well, I know Nat is a big fan of Pentanet and Order, so why don't we get her back here into the conversation. Nat, are you pumped for this game?
I am. This is going to be an absolute brawl and a half. And so I am going to be joined by 2 great people for this pre-game interview. I'm going to be joined by Max and Soy Boy Pabu. I've got so many chuckles in my ears after that one. I want to know your brainlet take on this one. But what's going to be your main focus in this matchup against Order?
There's always like a few things you have to focus on when playing against Order because they have a fairly unorthodox draft strategy, I guess. They tend to shy away from a few meta picks and like play a few specific things that are not super common. So kind of like avoiding those pitfalls is probably the most important thing for us in this game.
And Maximize, what about you guys? Where's your biggest focus going to be for Pentanet?
I mean, our strategy is probably like the flip side of that. Like, PGG is a very well-drilled team. They've got the fundamentals down really well. On a macro level, they're probably one of the best teams in the league. So anything we could do to like disrupt that, add a bit more chaos to the game, that's our plan.
What was the main thing that you learned from the last time you faced off against them?
Well, I think the meta was really different. And I think the main thing that we took away was that like PGG actually like despite their record, like they still retained like the same fundamentals that kept them good in split 1. So they definitely like hadn't gotten worse as a team. And so I think heading into tonight, we're very wary of like that they are a good team, and it's going to be a hard-fought battle.
Definitely, I do not see this game playing out without a massive brawl going on between you guys the whole game. But someone is going to have to go 2-1 this week, and the other team getting to go 3-0. Maximize, why do you think it's going to be Order?
I mean, our bot lane has just been playing the best in the league. Like, our bot lane has been absolutely smurfing. Puma has shown, like, statistically and, like, with his gameplay that he's the best AD carry. Beats has been, like, majorly stepping up, proving he's one of the top supports. I mean, and then our top side, like, me, Kevin Chungi, we just can't be matched individually. So I think that is our strength.
Head-to-head, you're just definitely going to be outskilling them, it seems. But, Pabu, why do you think Pentanet is going to be having it the 3-0 week this Super Week?
I mean, it's never really a challenge to play against Order. Like, the draft, as long as it goes to a spot that's like even remotely comfortable for us, it's always really free. It's like Order will just take the fights against you. We never get snowballed on too hard, so we're always just taking like fights from an even ground, and we always win those. So it's always a pretty cruisy victory for us.
So would you say you definitely aligned viewpoints with Chaz that PGG won't ever lose a game to Order?
As long as we're not 10k down, for sure.
Alrighty, well, we'll see if you do end up being 10k down. Thank you both so much for joining me, and good luck in tonight's game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, good opportunity for both of those lads to get themselves a DoorDash player that delivered tonight as well. Obviously, they'd be quite keen to use !DoorDash to find out what they can order and whether or not they can grab themselves a quick, easy fee. It's probably a good time to do that, ladies and gentlemen, 7 o'clock in the evening. Anyway, time for us to talk predictions. This is where we get to really knuckle down, zone in on exactly what we think is going to happen. We got Pentanet across the board from Elfish Guy, Rusty, and Skimmy. So maybe we'll throw this one your way first, Skimmy. You had to go second last time. It's a bit more difficult, I always feel, going second. So give us your thoughts. Pentanet, easy win?
Yeah, I don't know if it's an easy win. I found it hilarious, by the way, the fact that Max is coming at you with stats and be like XYZ, almost like a thesis. This is the reason we're going to win. And then Pabu's like, lol, like, it's just not going to happen. Yeah, I mean, you could look at the bot lane. Yeah, Order's bot lane statistically do have the best record, right? 5 MVPs between the two of them. That's not to be matched by anybody right now. I mentioned it before. I think those two have been playing phenomenally. Prev and Decoy at times have played a little bit weak in the laning phase, but you heard from Decoy's interview last time that he was saying I'm playing a little bit more with confidence. I just think that's maybe what it comes down to. If they're all firing, they don't have to completely rely on Prev and Decoy to carry. They've got so much strength elsewhere. Chaz, if he can pop off individually early game, what can you do? Pabu, you just don't know what you'll get with him, but if it's fantastic, it's just going to win the game on its own, and Biopep is Mr. Consistent. So I think across the boards, they just have that little edge.
Same train of thought for you, Rusty? Better on the individuals?
Yeah, I think that better on the individuals is a fair point to make. I do think individually, however, Order are contesting them currently with their form that they're currently in. I think across the board, actually, Order are in pretty hot form. On that individual level, I actually think that, for me, Maximize controlling top lane the way that he has, almost impossible to do against someone like Biopanther, who has all of the pocket picks that he could need, all the tank picks that he could need to weather any storm you throw at him. I think the fact that he'll still be relevant going into team fights will be too much, really, for Order to deal with.
What about you, Nat? Are you a bit surprised to see no one predicting Order today?
Not overly, like, it's already been said, right? If we match them up lane to lane, yeah, sure, they have pretty even skills, but the plays I think Pentanet has the edge is the team fight, right? Maximize was right. Sure, maybe Order might be able to take them in the top lane or the bot lane or wherever. But when it comes to team fights, I think PGG just have cleaner communications. They have the ability to work around each other. They have the rotations, I think, down pat a little bit more. And I think that's ultimately why all of us have probably gone for PGG as well. Just seeing them all be able to work together is a lot more consistent and stronger than Order.
Oh, well, as usual, I've gone with the Twitch chat prediction, which I'm sure will get things wrong for me. Unfortunately, that's been pretty much the name of the game for those of you at home. So make sure you do a little bit better today. Either way, it's time for us to jump into game. Pentanet and Order going head-to-head, looking for the 3-0 sweep this week. Let's find out how it plays out.
Looking for the perfect week, Mac, is what these teams are after, but also the uncontested rights to say we are the team in second position. 7-4 is the record to play for. So we'll take it on pentanet.gg, which should be far more even in terms of our predictions. Right, we said 70-30 for the previous matchup. This one, I'm conflicted between 60-40 and like 55.
Yeah, I'm willing to accept either of those, to be honest, as options. I'd say 60-40, just given Wednesday's performance from PGG was astoundingly good compared to perhaps normal from them. And we just know, right, that is a team that can beat anyone if they're all playing their best. So that's where I think a bit of the bias comes into this one, Skimmy. But we'll quickly take stock of the bans as we're very far into the bans themselves and we're rocketing through picks. Nothing outstanding. I like and I prefer what Pentanet have done on their red side bans, and I think this is something that Gravitas may want to take notes on because they suffered heavily to it last game, but the Viego and the Akali are gone.
He certainly did, and as his first pick priority, if the Bruce is going to be banned away, then a lot of these other champions get left to the top of the table, and a player that loves the Ziggs more so than anyone is Puma. He's played the most in the league. It's actually his most played as a whole for the second half of the split. As Pentanet now got to respond back with a fair bit of aggression. It's been a bit of a chat special ever since MSI. Back to the Lee Sin and then the Leona to get themselves a very reliable source of engage.
So both bottom lane options right now, the Nautilus and the Leona, are very forward-facing, no disengage style champions, which means the Ziggs isn't going to have a lot of support if that is in the AD carry position, which again, the most likely place that you would expect to see it. Here in Oceania, if it does go mid, it loses. That's just the game plan so far. So more often than not, we'll see it bottom where it has been more successful. I like that we've gone for the Xin Zhao this time around. Something that wasn't seen, Skimmy, that you highlighted in our first draft. Is going to be locked in early here by Kevy. And so far, kind of just normalcy, right? Through these picks. Nothing outstanding just yet.
Yeah, nothing too crazy to talk about. We did see that Trundle performance from Pabu the other night and pretty much 1v3'd, right? Went to a Sejuani, passive up, unkillable, quite honestly. So a lot of damage to be talked about there. Could still be seen top side. We've yet to see it play top. from anybody rather than other than, I should say, Chiefs Lived, but it's not out of the realms of possibility for somebody like BioPanther with the roster of champions that he has tucked away. But now second rotation of bans, and this is where it gets a little bit interesting.
Yeah, LeBlanc going to be banned away makes me think Chaz isn't going to be a Kassadin player this time around. Might play something with a bit of priority in mid lane. Option of the counter pick is there. It could also be a Lee Sin mid with Bio getting the counter pick himself. And waiting to see what AD carry goes with this Leona. That is most likely going to be their fourth pick of choice. Varus removed. Pub clearly enjoying his draft phase. There's a lot going on over there.
We've seen Nami hover twice now, as well as the Sona, so perhaps there's some in-house joke that we're missing here. We'll have to get some word later on that one. But there's a Victor ban. We've not really seen much Victor. A bit of an old classic here for Chaz. But definitely those hyper late game scaling mages have not seen as much love in recent times.
I don't even want to know what they're trying to spell out, but they both spelled it. We'll move on. Aphelios locked in. Now, this choice is clearly comfortable for Praedyth. In terms of champions that have gone with the Aphelios, it is often, and I'm going to say more often than not, a Thresh or a Lulu. So the fact that it is a Leona down in bottom lane screams a very different idea for me in what PGG are going to be able to provide. No safety net for the Aphelios, a champion that can very easily be hit by a Nautilus and just smashed. You know, so lots of risk down there. In saying that, he knows the bottom lane and the jungler that he is dealing with, so this does seem like it's been picked in confidence. Or is it?
I'm just taking it back a little bit for a second here, because that's now 4 games on the bounce that Praedyth's played this Aphelios. I feel like we're the Pentiment of Season 10 all over again, where it was pretty much locked in and, you know, for many cases, right, first pick. But we can't over the fact that that is a Draven. There's a Ziggs already locked in. We know how good Puma is at the Ziggs, so we haven't seen any success on the mid-Ziggs.
Yeah, this is a mid-Ziggs into what is now known, I would say, as the Lee Sin. Cho'Gath going to be picked. BioPanther has played this last time we saw them play. And overall, you know, this is a composition of a known quantity from Pentanet.gg. This is the type of comp that they will run 10 times in a row until it loses, like they have done before in regular seasons with comps that work.
Yeah.
So nothing crazy on their side of the coin here. Things that we know. Now, Order, they'll put the Ziggs mid, and I'm going to say they do this just to give a favorable bot lane matchup. Nautilus and Leona is perfectly fine. Both will have their Aftershock procced, and Draven beats Aphelios most of the time in terms of trading in laning phase. So if supports and AD carries match up evenly in lane, Draven should always beat the Aphelios, and that means that Order should always just be winning in their 2v2. Ziggs able to help bottom lane with his Mega Inferno Bomb. Nah has teleports as well, so it could just be that we have a hotbed of action down in the bottom lane.
I mean, it certainly could be. And I wouldn't put it past somebody like Puma to be that player to say, you know, I've got these stats for a reason. I am going to outperform you. You've been critical of us in the past. You said a lot of these laners suck, and I'm going to show you that I can play a champion that will snowball more so than an Aphelios. The thing I'm most curious about, once again, has to be that mid lane matchup, because Chaz has already played this earlier this week. It was into Wei. It was against Mammoth. It was 3 days ago, and, you know, quite candidly took care of him. So, you know, he's going to really be warmed up, you'd say, ready to take on that matchup and say that I've got the ability to make more plays than what the Ziggs can do.
Certainly has a lot of comfort, let's say, in the matchup. Not that I think it's a comfortable matchup. It's funny because I was casting that day and I said that Wei probably has a good run of the laning phase just because he can use more abilities to clear waves. But it did seem like Chaz had a pretty good handle on it, pretty good read of the lane. And by the time he gets the Iron Spike whip, that's the Lost Chapter spike for a Ziggs who can start to run away with the lane itself. There was still some volatility, but overall it seems like they just measure each other up. One person expends more health than the other, who expends more mana, and they just lane. A lot of it comes down to what these junglers are able to put into the mix. And, you know, Parbu on his Trundle has a Leona, has a Cho'Gath to work with, and the Xin Zhao has a Nautilus and has a Mega Gnar and Ziggs satchels to work with also.
Here we go, the outright battle for second place. We do have Charlie on standby once again to spare a thought and get his feedback on the season so far. Mate, it's been really good recently. You know, I haven't dropped a game since last Friday, your biggest streak that you've managed to, you know, build up from Split 2. So, you know, what would you start to attribute that to?
I would attribute it to a lot of things. I think we are really starting to get a grasp on the meta. I think this comp here kind of exemplifies that with got a really good draft this game. It should be really smooth sailing. Also, I want to give a shout out to Western Way. He's jumped back into scrims recently and been giving us a big helping hand with some really in-game specifics as well as draft. So yeah, I think that's really helped as well.
Oh, fantastic. Well, speaking of the drafts, Snow Prative maybe getting a little bit giddy from getting the play that delivered. 4 games on the bounce now that he's played this Aphelios. So obviously we know what he can do with this one, especially with a matchup like Leona to complement it. But what about that Draven flex? Did that catch you off guard?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about the potential of them playing an 80 carry counter pick. We do know Puma plays a bit of Draven. The thing is, the Draven's so hard to play in this game. Like, we have a Trundle throwing the pillar at him. We have Cho'Gath throwing the Q on like a 4-second cooldown. I feel like it's so hard to play this immobile champion into like a huge, beefy composition with so much CC and slows. But if he can pull it off, like, it is a good pick.
Credit where credit is due. Fantastic. Well, this matchup in particular, we've hyped it up as being a battle for second place. Having already passed the halfway mark of the season, do things like streaks, win streaks, and, starting to find your grasp on, what is strong leading into playoffs. Does this matchup bear a little bit more weight?
Oh yeah, I mean, we definitely want to win. I mean, we want to secure that #1 seed. It's still within our control. We play 2 more matches versus Chiefs as well, so if we're able to win our games, we do control our own destiny. There is that thing in Australia, NZ, where the #1 seeded team usually wins. I think it's happened something like 9 times out of 10 or something weird since 2016. So we do definitely want to secure that #1 seed, yeah.
Yeah, can't be understated, right? The first place buy round advantage. Well, good luck. One of these teams will come out with a 3-0 perfect week, and good luck for it.
Thank you.
Well, as we got to speak with good Charlie there, it's C Maximize, just having a little bit of fun topside.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Cole start. Having a very good time in his laning phase against the Cho'Gath. Nothing exceptionally crazy in that respect. But it was for a limited time only, as the things that we do know on the rest of the map, and this is again just assumed information for Order, PGG leashed at the blue buff for their Trundle, so they get a better run of laning phase down in bot. Overall, it does seem to be going fine, however, for Praedyth and Decoy, but it means that the Trundle has passed to top. So Maximize, you saw him pretty hard pushing, you would say, forcing in the turret at level 3, wants to make the wave push back towards him and get a free reset off, so Cheetah recalls. So while it looks like he's behind in farm, he's really, sacrificing a tiny bit of CS for a good teleport and has the bigger wave coming back towards him. So just good wave control from Max as long as he doesn't die right now. Otherwise, mid has been pushing in Chaz, but things start to turn around pretty quickly in that lane, particularly early, as the mana cost for Ziggs adds up fast if you're using more than just the bombs.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like Cassiopeia, right? Where you need the tear or you need the blue buff, at least some form of sustain to keep up the pressure for that ranged advantage and keep this Lee Sin at bay. Otherwise, when the waves are gone, and when the waves can be pushed in, because you can abuse the energy resource instead, then you find yourself actually on the back foot. I want to touch into what Charlie mentioned, right? Because I think it was a really good point. Sure, Draven, individually will do great things, but he's going to have to deal with a kick, a Zenith Blade, Solar Flare, Pillar, knock-up, stun, silences, all the rest of it. So the uptime on his Q-Axe might just be so low.
I think without a doubt, Charlie is on the money that it's very difficult to play Draven into the enemy team. If he makes it work, and again, we look at the resources that he has in a similar way to the way we look at Aphelios picks in the LCO, right? No Thresh, no Lulu means that you have to do a lot of the work yourself, but the advantage that Aphelios has is that he has utility with the Gravitum, and he has range when he's got his green gun out as well, right? So he can actually compensate for those moments of weakness through cycling the correct weapons. Draven never has that. Draven has damage, Draven can go forwards, and Draven can go forwards faster. That's really your options. So it's going to be easier said than done, but I feel an odd sense of confidence in Puma, just given how well he has been playing lately, that I think if anyone could pull it off right now, it probably is him.
That's still a performance so far. Most MVPs on his team. Let's see if he can do something special here again tonight. First little invitation to mid lane. Looks like a few members going to make their way mid. Chaz seems to be the one as the focus, but Kevy's being caught out of position. Wrong side of the river. 3v1 first blood.
Yeah, just really nice play there from PGG as a whole. Decoy getting into the right place. They were looking for a 3-person collapse, perhaps, and just happened to find Kevy waiting for the gank himself. If it was a 2v2, could be a different story. Chungy definitely had a pretty comfortable base off, hit level 6 in good stead. Just not going to be able to do anything to help his jungler because Decoy is here.
Great bit of early initiative by him. It's unable to offer much more than just that. Look at the CC and look at it layer so beautifully. Maximize going to fall on down and he, well, denied a wave as well.
Yeah, flash used, ultimate used. Nothing, unfortunately, able to save Maximize in that gank. And Trundle is an extremely proficient ganker in the right situations with the correct use of the pillar. Order are going to look to trade. Of course, Kevy does respawn, come straight down towards the dragon. It will be an objective secured for top lane. But that was also a kill in mid lane and a free reset for Chaz, who is absolutely sitting pretty to influence the rest of the map next time that kick is up.
Meanwhile, Kevy's able to pick up some good news if you're an Order fan. Picks up the first dragon of the game. That gives them the ability, if they do see fit, then to try and play for an early soul point. Get to see what that would be later on into this game. But with the Herald to spawn shortly, and with flashes having been burnt by the top side of the map, curious to see how that skirmish will break out and if lane assignments will change.
I think ultimately the fact that Maximize dies top lane punishes the cull appropriately. You know, it does even out any kind of small snowball or advantage that comes from the item purchase. Biopanther going to be pretty happy overall with top lane. And like we've highlighted a million times over now, he is the tank that can do it all. Happily scaling is one of them, carrying is also one of them. So giving him a kill is a pretty exciting prospect for any PGG fans.
He's already got the Barmy Cinder, so his push and skirmishing is going to be quite strong already. Already up by 1,000 gold as a team, as a collective, as Chaz does get himself unlocked from mid lane, goes thinking his head into the enemy jungle and seeing what could be found.
Kevy very interestingly chooses to use the Sky's Orb on the control ward instead of the Warthog that he saw the Lee Sin use. Just as you reacted to it as well, the Leona very close to finding an engage angle there. Trundle hovering the area. Could have been a 3v3. Could have actually been double teleports from the side of Pentanet.gg. And Bio very ready to sustain his way in top lane Skibby. Clarity at the ready. You want mana? He's got mana.
He's had enough of these energy users. He wants to make sure that this lane state works in his favor.
Artificial energy.
True.
Renewable. There you go.
Clean green. But it's the ideal weapon setup if you want to push in a wave like such and able to get yourself the first turret plate. Did even though in that CS and that pre-6 engage would have been spicy, but now ultimates are there. We could see a bit of an explosive start. 200 stacks on that passive for Draven. A lot of gold, a bounty to pick up to try and throw favor back his way.
Clarity used, teleport available for bottom lane. You could see a flank here from Chaz as well. You ward hop, kick them, teleport to the ward even, and it's on.
Might just play up this one. There's the Zenith Blade so far. Depth charge knocks up two. Nobody's got the aggro. It's Deco that flashes out and soaks up all the pressure right now. But everybody collapsing bot lane. It's classic Bio doing what is required of him. He's just going to die to the turret, unfortunately. That's the kill traded across to Chungy. But now this Aphelios 2-0-1.
Praetor needs to be careful to stop tanking the turret there, just trying to maximize his damage output with all of the chakrams that he picks up through the fight. But almost on cue, you know, they make the play. The teleports come in. Kevy misses the eye.
Missed the eye, missed the kill, missed the opportunity, and in the last 2 minutes, really has just gone from bad to worse for Order.
I can't believe he missed the eye. First of all, I thought he hit it. But you've got the teleports, right? And this is the thing with PGG, everywhere at the map at once. They know how you're responding. They know how to make the countermeasures happen. You've teleported, you've committed bottom, and it fails. Well, it doesn't mean that you get to play on the opposite side of the map and go for the Herald. You've lost the play. They're going to make you lose harder. The punish comes down double so. Well and truly in the lead is PGG now.
And it's probably the most typical play out of the playbook of PGG. We saw them do it so successfully all off split one. So Bio would go down bot half the map, guarantee a kill, make sure the kills went in all the right places. And if you talk about early game agency, Chaz was critical of himself the other day on the Akali on Wednesday. Well, sitting very comfortably this time around, and his first major influence towards the bot side is rewarded handsomely.
Well, it certainly is. I think overall, PGG from this position, with no objectives really besides the Mountain Drake in 30 seconds, have all of the right members in all of the right places. There's no teleport for Maximize just yet, so there's no TP advantage for top lane, and overall this objective, while Order currently have first move, you could see PGG are going to be fresh off their resets. And fresh as a daisy, ready to push those waves in and maybe fight. Pabu's going to be the one that actually changes up the strategy here perhaps, and is considering a dive top.
Hovering in the area, whereas Kevy is occupied mid. Gonna tank a few turret shots so far, but not gonna mind too much because there's the ground gone down. Biopemp below. Maximize potentially in a 1v2 situation. Flash nod, locked him into the wall. He needed half a second, if that, Rusty. Denied a kill. And those are the millimeters that can decide games.
Yeah, one auto attack off. Zig's ultimate, Draven ultimate, fights on.
It continues. We're not done yet. Down to the Dragon Pit where Order pick up a second. The axes go flying from bot to top just like that. But can they find some kills? They've removed Praetor. They're chasing. They're on the hunt. They'll find themselves a second. And you've clearly now got an invitation for Order to play around this part of the map.
And look, Chaz may die for that play, but he also gets rid of the Draven stacks. There's going to be no cash in for Puma this game. And that's one of the real core tenets of picking Draven in a team composition. You want to be able to win your lane if possible. If you can't, then you need to be able to hold onto those passive stacks and cash in an abundance of gold to just tear the game open with any kind of advantages you have. It's gone the opposite route. You've got Praetor now with multiple kills in his pockets. We'll see what happens down here, as Praetor does get pretty heavily targeted. Kevy with some good damage, and Beats does hit the hook. But the crowd control onto Puma just denies him any kind of entry to the fight. He's used his ultimate for top lane, as did Chungy. And so this could have perhaps been a much cleaner fight. There's no ultimates there to make that extra difference in damage, makes it a trade.
It is worth noting, though, in the grand scheme of it all, as we did pan down to the bottom half of the map, that having killed Maximize, the turret initially fell down with the plates intact, and then a second charge went off as well, so battering through and really opening up a lot of that pressure to do exactly what Bio's doing right now, right? Leave top lane left on an island and then look to try and group up with the rest of the team. There's going to be the TP, and this time for Maximize. A blast code is fantastic. Chaz and Beats locked in the arena as the axes go out global again, but no real prizes found.
They don't choose to stay and force the flash out of Beats there either. It looks like Beats is just going to be able to recall in the bush there in the pit. I'm sure he'll be happy with the soul of choice here in this game, actually providing him a bush to recall in, so thank you, Ocean. But nevertheless, top losing. The attempted fight at the red buff was still PGG poking their head in, looking to steal away an objective. And, we are at that point where it is going from bad to worse very fast. As the snowballing of our red side here is a little bit too good.
I mean, it's a great disengage right from the fight that Order were trying to force with their TP advantage. Biopemp is quite content to stay top side, not group up, find himself a second turret from as many minutes. And now here we go with the classic playbook from Pabu. Run bot, hit subjugate, find attack, and zone them away to guarantee that another turret, and the third of the game goes the way of Pentanet.
Don't let Pabu talk your ear off with the fact that he already had the pickaxe before he finishes the Sunday, but he's got the spike now. The item is on. It's very hard to deal with him. Kevy coming bottom.
That's a flash forward to lock him in place a little bit longer right now. There's the bomb and there's the Draven. That's the 1-2 Knight. That will just pretty much shake you out of the game. An instant cleanse from Puma trying to sidestep all the CC thrown his way. Was picking up the axes. He finds one. Now can he cut himself out for a second? Dodges the rupture. And trying to lifesteal off some of these minions. The wave locked in place quite handsomely. Out go the axes, but the kill gets stolen by Chungy. And Order find 3 kills when they so desperately need them.
Yeah, Puma very clearly trying to use his ultimate there just to last hit the kill. Didn't want to use it for damage. Biopanther falls. 3 members of Pentanet.gg fall. And just as you start to complement their ability to maybe snowball the game out, goes back the other way. Not to say that the game has swung in Order's favor by any means, but 3 kills, a top lane outer turret, the influx of money that they just got out of nowhere, that they've honestly pulled out of thin air, just catching some greedy movements from PGG. I mean, perhaps it was just, you know, one more wave before a reset, but if you look at where the fight took place, Skimmy, definitely unnecessary positionally for Pentanet.gg to be there at all.
That's the forced play. It all started with Beats once again, continuing to impress me. The flash forward locks them in place and the sidestepping afterwards to allow them to find those kills so flawlessly. You know, deserves high praise. He's got himself now a locket, so the durability in these skirmishes is going to be that much better. Well ahead of Decoy in that regard. They are still fighting a gold deficit, up by 4k.
No, the thing is, right, too many of the kills did go to Beats without a shadow of a doubt. Like, they just, like, yeah, he's going to be tanky, man. But
It's like the Mundo angle all over again. He finished second damage in that match. But maybe not the same as a Nautilus. A little bit harder to do those same numbers.
yeah, you're still going to be a Nautilus. And no matter how much crowd control you apply to people, the damage is going to be lacking. And you've got 3 out of your team's 6 kills. So definitely a little bit sad that Puma didn't get maybe one more of those, that Kevy didn't get one more of those, and PGG may just be able to walk at them, and that will be the team fight.
Herald has been summoned. Kevy is split from the team right now as the pillar goes out, but the Herald is going to do light work on this mid-tier 1. There won't be a second charge, but that will distract Order for the meantime.
Drake number 3.
Third Dragon of the game. Pentanet want to contest this one. They don't want to leave this a chance where Soul Point is up for the taking.
Yeah, they're going to engage this one. Order with no Mega Gnar just yet. Leona ult.
Yeah, Maximize needs a lot of time to hit that Mega status. It's going to be risky for them to look for this one, but look at Chaz, spotted on Vision. Actually not, because double control wards. In they go for a bit of an explosion of happiness onto this one, but it's going to be Pentanet to pick up the Dragon. They've stolen it away. Chaz survives. Tramp OP. Biped for tanking. Biped for living, but that's a double kill. I've seen this happen before. Puma, gonna get a double, get him a triple, give him the quad, give him everything. He can't find the Penta. We've yet to have a Penta in the LCO. But he's making the Draven work.
And Order don't just get 3 kills, Skimmy. They get a quadra kill onto the Draven shortly after. And suddenly we have a game on our hands. This was a pretty significant gold lead. And now it's a very close game. Top's going to be caught here by Maximize. We'll pick up the cannon as well. And honestly, you can see it right there in the damage. And I was about to say this. The amount of damage that Chungy does in this team fight is unbelievable. The Ziggs is pretty much untouched through majority of this. Praetor gets 1 hit by the damage that they're putting out. Maximize and Beats have so much crowd control between them once he hits Mega Gnar. But you've got a Draven and you've got a Ziggs literally not touched. They still have Flash and Cleanse available. And we spoke about the risk of maybe playing Draven, and we mentioned this in Draft Skimmy, the risks of playing Aphelios. He didn't do a thing.
I mean, that image there of the previous team fight damage pretty much says it all. Night and day. You mentioned Chungy, 7,000 damage, really pumping high numbers, and just locked them. Locked them in a false sense of hope. Sure, you can deny us the Soul Point, but you've now spoon-fed 4 kills onto Puma, where we were critical saying that Beats was picking up the lion's share of the gold. Now that bot lane is phenomenal. There's a reason they've got the accolades they have, right? 5 MVPs between them. Once again, putting in a stellar performance.
And I thought in this game, Skibby, that we were going to get Puma Pants, but we got Puma Yushi back once more. I've decided those are his nicknames. You know we have Fake Curzio and Ink Curzio?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what we're you may not like it. That's what I'm going with. Either way, the point is he's playing very well and Puma Yushi's online.
Abu's going to be careful right now. He might just get soloed. He's just gone.
Yeah,
No
just
flash,
picked apart.
no subjugate, no respect stepping up to the bush.
Chaz once again has a flank here.
Chaz looking to try and even the odds right now, but the hook does not disengage him away. The kick to start things off, but it is a very fed Nautilus. Hard to take him down. TP guarantees that you have to run away. Ignite was the expense,
They're
and
hitting
Maximize
Baron.
came in hot.
Looks like they're going to commit themselves to the objective here. At the very least, Puma and Kevy are going to be hitting this one. Ward spots them doing it. They can disengage while there's Mega, though.
Well, just before it expires, he's hit the Mega into the wall, and would have decided it's not worth the risk. Respawns are back. Pabu's alive and kicking. But Puma is huge right now. 2 completed items, a lot of critical chance under his belt, and he's got double buffs. He wants to fight.
100%. I mean, this is a big Draven. This is a big Ziggs. They're not safe to deal their damage, but if they are safe in a team fight, you know, from just proper frontlining from the rest of the gang, or perhaps split focus from PGG, you know, the Dragon being a key aspect of that, then it's definitely a winnable situation for them. They are still down in gold. And, you know, we've been talking about this like it is an order comeback, and that's because it's starting to shift in that direction. But they haven't done enough yet to outright win a game. Not even close, but they're well and truly on that journey.
Not enough yet for Order to take command of the gold lead. There's still Pensnet holding on by a slim lead of only 1,000 now. It was ×5 only moments before. There is still the ever looming threat, though, of how can Puma play this game. He's got so many threats to try and juggle with. He's done a phenomenal job so far, especially when his team has facilitated the manner in which he's picked up these kills.
I mean, we have an expectation that he's going to be focused pretty hard here, right? That's why I always mention Chungy, because I feel like the Ziggs at this point, once he finishes his next item, I think could be unstoppably large in a team fight. It's just that right now it's a very inconvenient item build. With the variety bucket of items, no real completions other than the Leandries. And
He's
as
just gone for straight penetration, right? Like the
Yeah.
boots and the void and everything. It's just like, I need to get you as low as possible and let the
Exactly.
team do the rest of the job. There's the solar flare. Chaz looking once again to try and remove Puma. He's gone in solo. He needs follow-up, and there's the flash. And it couldn't have gone to a better man. Praetor picks up that kill from afar. He's still got flash, and he's still got the expertise. That's what Aphelios excels at. Ranged advantage proves to be enough.
I mean, Ziggs has ultimate this whole time as well, doesn't find a chance to use it. Well played from Chaz, more than anyone else, to be able to secure the kill and to put enough damage into Puma. You know, this Draven doesn't have lifesteal in the build.
Not done just yet. Kevy wants more. He's looking for a kill. There's the ultimate. They had to flash away to respect it. They pick up Kevy. They pick up a dragon the second of the game, and Pensner are well on course now to get 4 Ocean Dragons.
Yeah, a pretty big blip on the radar for Pensinet.gg, but they're back on board. You know, they're able to get those outplays. They get the objective as well. That's their second Ocean Drake of the game, 2 consecutive Drakes. And they'll be pretty happy with that one. And Order, you know, AD carry gets picked. Well played by Chaz in that regard. Follow-up is there from Pabu, and they know their target. And there just wasn't enough damage, you know, from the rest of the team to compensate for that. If AD carry's dead, it feels like Order's hopes. And go with it.
Almost felt doomed, knowing that there was going to be a lot of pressure going his way. The same problems from draft still ever present. And both AD carries really looking to showcase why they are the elite of the elite. A lot of discussion around these being the top 3. And now there is a big chance for them to try and prove, not only to themselves, but to the viewers, why they're held in such high regard.
We're now at a point, though, where, like, this Cho'Gath, I don't see many ways where a Draven deals with it. If you're in range of the Cho'Gath, you're usually just going to be in a losing situation. Very curious to see what this third item of choice is going to be here for Puma, because the Essence Reaver first, I understand it's a Sheen item for a Draven. The choice of going for the Lord Dom second is, like, of necessity against the enemy comp. Probably need lifesteal, right? So shield bow is the most likely third choice.
Sure.
But if you want to do damage, you know, if you're just going to space glider your way around and be an absolute mechanical genius, then Kraken Slayer, I suppose, is going to be the highest DPS output versus the opponents.
Here they come once again. The Rupture won't find anybody. A TP will thwart their plans for the minute. Maximize comes in as Mega. And they might look to wrestle a little bit of control on the map once again. Lay down some vision, lay low, find a pick target. And look to run for the Baron play once again.
It's really big though, Skimmy. Getting the teleport out of the top laner means that they have a 2 teleport disadvantage. So setting up on the map is almost impossible for Order. They really are limited to just hitting the Baron. And bringing PGG to them. I thought he might go there for a second. Chaz did hit the Sonic Wave. Bio wins the game. The longer that this carries on, Bio wins the game. Hitting Baron is really their only choice.
Well, Bio does have the TP. They've got some vision if need be. He's coming on through to the mid lane right now as that Baron is just getting shredded, already down to a third of its life bar. In goes Beats, maximize huge. Beautiful kick from Chaz, and a shove into the wall might not be big enough as Chaz disengages away, but the safeguard is not safe enough. The axes go out, and both these AD carries from afar doing whatever they can. Sniper and Chakrams, the ideal setup for a Praetor in this situation. As Puma has the red buff, but with no axes. His DPS is, well, surely dampened.
Definitely is. Of course, a pillar means a Cho'Gath knock-up, which means he still dies in this situation with no flash. So he's going to have to respect the turret will fall. That was a 2-for-1 trade in the end. Now, they do get the teleport out of Biopanther, so they'll be pretty happy with that one at the very least. But there is still the teleport there from Chaz, at least matched by Chungy this time around. Not optimal, but it's workable for Order, where that was a pretty desperate situation for them through map control. You know, you can't afford to just let Biopanther win the game in a side lane slowly but surely. You have to hit Baron and make something happen. It could have been worse.
What is the shield bow that you're after? I guess it was either that for the lifesteal, for the shield, the mitigation, the protection, or maybe a Gale Force for a little bit more mobility to not get displaced quite easily from all the mazes he's got to deal with this game.
I mean, the way that I see this one is if somehow, you know, Order are able to win a clean team fight and get the game from it, Puma just has to be a player that delivered the most freak behavior. Just sidestepping everything in a team fight. Because right now he's getting no support, no backup from the rest of the team. There's no Lulu in the composition, you know, there's nothing to just actively peel for him. Yeah. Besides Ziggs damage and just crowd control. But you've got so much mobility and displacement with Trundle pillars and knockups, and you've got Lee Sin everywhere.
Oh!
Nice cancel.
Yeah, very good pillar there, cancelling the hook. Also get the flash from Beats, so it's going to be easy now for him to look to try and find those engages. And you raise a good point, right? The peel isn't as clear-cut as you would usually expect. I guess you're peeling through damage, hoping that Chunky can get people low enough for those resets. Now Beats wants it. There's the silence. Chaz locked on the left-hand side. It's a 5v4. They're all looking to try and find Sopa, but Puma locked in place by the solid flare. Flash cleanse away. Denied vision, but gets chomped on by the Trundle. The peel is there. The boys are back. He tries to catch axes whilst you catch hands, but he falls on down as Pensnet just have a little bit too much left in the tank. Look at the lifesteal on the Philios, mind you. They're going for a third dragon. They have no smites. This is going to be a 50-50 jungle, and somehow Praetor comes out on top.
I mean, it's a win for PGG in the end. It was dicey for a moment there, but at the end of the day, they are just too strong. Pabu with an insane flank angle at the start of that fight comes in very clutch for the team. And you'll see it if we have a replay as well. Chaz comes in just at the right moment. You know, the hero's Q comes out and is able to lock it down Puma, who definitely had a hard time of it. But it was a very interesting fight to watch for different reasons. You know, we've been seeing a lot of Puma on his own trying to put in a crazy amount of work just to survive. This time around, it was the 5-man effort from Order to try and peel, to try and disengage for this Draven, but their comp doesn't do that. So it was a genuine struggle from Go to Woe in that fight. And we'll see it here, because Kevy engaging, uses the ult very early, and look at Pabu. Easy, straight into the fight. So much damage will put down on a Puma straight away. Nautilus ultimate's going to come down. Decoy goes in. Max literally just uses the Gnar to push them away. Jumps onto Pabu. Chaz hits that Q though. So really there was nowhere for him to go. He was stuck. You know, he was losing out on free auto attack shots because he was pressured and trying to move. And the rest of this fight just comes down to who's able to get the dragon. The answer is Praetor, as there's no feast and there's no smites.
Became a battle of who could dive and take out the AD carry first, as Kevy initially went for that, and you could see how much damage late into that replay, how much damage Chungy was able to do. Nearly drops him out. Thankfully, the red weapon was there and the dragon was available. Very high stakes game. But now Pensnet back into a place of comfort, you'd have to say, back to 5k leads. Might not necessarily have to fall victim to a panic Baron like Order been trying to push, because in 3 minutes they can get themselves a soul point, and I don't think you necessarily want a team fight. You could just leave Biopan for the side lane, and who can match him?
Yeah, I think it's not uncomfortable for Max to sit in the side lane with him, even though he's 40 CS up. He's definitely down in items right now, but overall, Bio is just going to be a monster tank. I think that Chungy's someone who definitely doesn't want to be stuck in the side lane with him. Even in the 1v1 with Chaz and Chungy, right? Like Lee Sin's such a constant threat who just tries to insta-push and then look for angles and look for flanks. As it stands, I really see this game state is difficult for Order to deal with. If it ever progresses into like a solid 1-4, 1-3-1 situation and Order aren't able to look for flanks or look for threatening angles with teleports of their own, then it's rough. Nice pillar. That thing's doing a lot of work, Skibby.
It really is. Sometimes you can just watch in awe just the beauty of simple mechanics like that, right? The pixel perfection of placing a pillar to deny certain mechanics and force out summoners.
Baron on the cards. Mega Gnar there with teleport up, but it is about to expire. So they're not going to make the teleport play just yet, you would expect. You give them 20 seconds. Order going to look to try and play a 4v4, but in that time, teleports are in. Puma is split.
No flashes for these AD carries right now, but Puma does have cleanse. He's got to try and run the long way right now, but so much CC to contend with. Needs some peel. There's a bomb, there's a beat, and there's a bit of protection right now. So he's not going to try and juggle as many of these actions as possible. He's just locked in place between a Cho'Gath and a pillar. A cleanse will do absolutely nothing. Chaz off screen removes Chungy. The two hard carries of Order are gone. Pentanet are looking for the ace. They just need a couple more. But they'll be happy because they've just done enough.
And just split from the team. Puma definitely needs to just walk with his team, even if it's the wrong direction. He needs to do it together. Now that he's gone, now that Chungy's gone with it, very easy for PGG to just push down in mid lane, inhibit a bare minimum. Yes, there's two members alive, but neither of them do enough damage to stop this push.
Another 20 seconds before that Draven's up and kicking right now. The inhibitor is gone, and now what do Pentanet do? Do they look to go for more? The heal's already been committed. There's the Zenith Blade in, looking to try and take out Maximize. He's waiting for Mega. He's gone for the bop and the jump and the run away, but he looks to try and peel them away from his own turret. One Nexus turret is gone. A second is clearly the target, but respawn time is coming back to haunt them. Chungy's up in 5. They've got to be careful. The Mega Inferno Bomb could lock these members in place, and a flash engage could still be on the cards. But Pentanet might have time on their side if they can recall successfully a soul to play for in 10.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think that you get a recall here. Teleports are going to come in. This is going to be the fight that will decide the game. If PGG win this one, it's over.
Onto Kevi, very early ultimate by him. Now a flash in to try and take out Prey. If the bomb gets sidestepped, there's no damage onto him. Decoy's already gone out the fight. A beautiful kick removes Chungy. He's just come up, but he's sent straight back down. A double kill for Aphelios. Now he's got a triple. And he's basically saying to Puma, whatever you can do, I can do better.
Max definitely just caught here. It's inevitable. We'll see what he can do.
He's going for the solo effort onto Maximize right now. Sorry, actually a full set. A stopwatch from Big Predator. Nearly dies! Oh, so very close. So very close, but not close enough. There's a delayed ace. And surely now that's the GG.
Yeah, that's what you'd expect it to be. 10 seconds on Kevi, 18 on Chuggy. Pabu has decided ending is overrated. I'm going to get the Ocean Soul. Wait for me to get the Soul first, please. Looks better on the stats. We'll see who wins, I guess.
There it is. The Soul Point complete. The game complete. The stats are padded. And PGG, one step closer to their throne as they are outright second now.
Yeah, I mean, a solid win from them in the end, right? There's definitely a couple of moments that we can very easily look at and say probably shouldn't have happened, right? The first fights that happened bottom lane, the 4K that happened inside the Dragon Pit, a couple of pretty big oopsies there. But overall, it did feel like they had more control. It felt like strategically they were always putting their best foot forwards. And it felt like they were always pressuring Order into making bad decisions or pressuring them into making decisions fast instead of setting up for them, which really hurt their chances of winning a team fight, right? It's impossible to play that out if your Draven's always caught because you're running everywhere to respond.
Well, we said, Mac, that it was going to be a very close game to determine who would break away from the perfect week and the perfect second place in the league. 55%, it seemed to be pretty much that close on the day.
Yeah, I mean, a very good game actually played by Order until it sort of got a little bit too much for them in the end. Obviously, Pentanet slow and steady into that game, but they do eventually get the job done with some nice scaling through from the Cho'Gath, from the Aphelios as well. It's always a pleasure to watch Praedyth when he does manage to get that Aphelios in his hands, and I sort of liked what I saw, to be honest, from Order. I thought that there was a moment where they might actually be able to run away with the victory, but a few too many times in fights where you just see Chaz sneak through with a Sonic Wave and manage to find one of those carries either onto the Ziggs or onto the Draven. If one of those two went down, it just felt like there wasn't quite enough legs left in that team fight. And to be honest, I mean, even if the Ziggs goes down, I kind of feel like it might still be a winnable fight, assuming Puma is still up, but if Puma's not able to get anything done in the fight, if he gets zoned out, you know, for example, that very, very late fight where Cho'Gath sort of isolated him, it felt like it was a lost cause for Order. So, I don't know. I'm interested to see what your thoughts were actually on, you know, whether or not maybe Ziggs should have gone into Puma's hands and we needed to get another AD threat through from the mid lane, or how that might have played out. Because I feel like when Puma's had the Ziggs, he's been a really, really big threat. And I wonder if that would have worked out better for Order.
I mean, honestly, I just expect to see Ziggs bot lane more often than not because it is much more successful and it's easier to get going. I think the mistake here, draft-wise, isn't necessarily that the Ziggs is mid, it's that they've gone for a Ziggs with the Draven as a composition. I think often you would say when you've got a Draven comp, your mid lane is going to be like a Victor or Orianna or something that, you know, is more self-sufficient, but also can provide some supportive qualities. Not as easily done as a Ziggs, but nevertheless, yeah, I do agree still that I would prefer it was in the bot lane position anyway.
Yeah, some big damage coming through from the Ziggs nonetheless, but Skimmy, I mean, we look towards that composition of Pentanet and it just scales so damn well. I mean, Decoy as well on the Leona, a really big threat. I felt like he obviously had some MVP performances throughout the split so far on that champion and continues to sort of get it done every single time we see that in his hands. It is just a massive front line to deal with, not to mention the Cho and the Trundle.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another composition, right, where it allows Praedyth to thrive. You know, you can look at the damage comparisons between himself and the Draven and say that he had the resources, right? Tanks to try and choose the target that they're going to go for, right? The displacement with the kick of Chaz to guarantee that some person is there. Even if it isn't a kick, the fact that he can probably solo somebody on the side, as we saw multiple times. And the Shui really was on the other foot, right, forcing Order to try and do something crazy. Multiple times, Max is coming in, trying to act as a peeler as opposed to an initiator. Multiple times, Kevy's single-handedly jumping in, trying to remove Praedyth. And maybe a couple of times, unlucky not to take him down. But it's now 3 games of mid-Ziggs and 0 victories.
Indeed. Well, I suppose that is a question that will potentially continue to be asked as we do go through the rest of the split. Obviously, those Ocean Dragons being put together as well by Pentanet seem to continue to compound the issues. Obviously, there was no soul, but it's still something that you can duck out of a fight. A couple of seconds later, come back in and you're sort of half full HP, something like that. Either way, Nat's full HP. She's ready to go. You got someone down there on the side lanes for us again, Nat. So who is it this time?
I do. I'm going to be joined by Praedyth for the post-game interview. Congratulations on a great game, but also a 3-0 week. How does that feel?
You know, back to the old days, really.
Yeah, you guys have had a significant improvement compared to the start of Split 1. What would you key that one down to mostly?
I think we just all talk about the game more. Like we all know what we want to do. Just feels like every single scrim we go into, we kind of like we're all aligned on what we want to do as a team, and then we get on stage and it feels like we're all comfortable again. It just feels like last split, you know. At the start of the split, I was saying that MSI hangover or whatever, and I think we're all over that now. So we should be going undefeated for the rest of the split for sure.
Ooh, I look forward to potentially seeing that coming from you guys. But let's focus on this game, specifically more about the draft. Is that what you guys were expecting to come out from Order, or did you just very much play, these are the champs that we want?
Yeah, we expected all their picks, I think, and we basically did this whole draft on a mock draft. So we saw everything coming. Nothing really surprised us. I think our draft isn't that good, but it's just what we are comfortable with winning. I think when we're all on these types of champs, we know that on stage we'll just win the game.
yeah, the comfort definitely showed through. Except for that fight around Dragon, I think it was the third Dragon. It didn't really go too well for you guys. What was running through your head through that one? And did you know that, you know, you were definitely going to outscale them and so you weren't panicking too much?
This game was like the closest thing I'd say to like a scrim game, where we were like actually just like kind of troll. Like I don't want to take anything away from order, but like we just started trolling because we thought the game was over. So like we took like a 3v4 fight on Dragon, and then I stayed to push a wave bot, and then Bryn came to fight with me, and then we just like all died. This is like definitely what scrim games look like if the enemy team doesn't forfeit at like or 15 minutes, or we don't forfeit at 15 minutes. This is kind of what they look like, where it's like a bit of trolling and then it's team fights. So like I was comfortable that like the whole time we're gonna win. It's just a bit of a hiccup.
Oh, I love to see it. I like that we've had a little bit of insight now to what you guys are doing in scrims. But look, congratulations yet again, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nat. Love to hear from the players. Pray for another good interview coming through from him. But ladies and gentlemen, time for the moment we've all been waiting for. The player that delivered, obviously assisted by DoorDash. And guess who it is this time? It is Pabu. Managed to do a lot of work on that trundle, getting the pillars all over the place. And that seemed to be honest, the MVP. Those pillars were just on point.
Yeah, big time. I mean, beyond just the pillar as well, it's the fact that he's able to get onto the Draven at the start of every fight. And it is that simple, right? Do your job and you will win the game. But he does his job and goes above and beyond with very good pillar placement and timing to in my opinion, deserve the player that delivered the most.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed the way that he was able to sort of control the jungle early on in the piece. I mean, I'm looking towards those dives that have been, in the past, a little bit of an issue actually for Pentanet, but now in this game, it seemed like perfection, every single one. I mean, I guess with the exception of the one down in bot where Bio dies to the tower, but still a 2-for-1 trade overall, so it just seems to sort of be coming together a little bit for the lads on Pentanet, and it seems to be a nice resurgence for them. 3-0 week, and hopefully that's going to continue on into next week. Guys, though, we've got something where we do need to ask for a little bit of assistance from the people at home. I know that we've been quite eager to hear their opinions, and that never changes. For those of you guys at home that interested in letting us know what you're thinking about LCO, hit up !survey in the chat. There's a chance to win one of 10 RP prizes. I believe, as I get my mustache stuck in my mouth again, they're 11,000 RP per prize, which is actually not too bad. So that's, what, 110,000 RP on offer? Either way, make sure you hit up !survey. Let us know what you're thinking about LCO, how much you're enjoying it, how much you love Mac, mate. What a great host he is. Either way, it's time for us to take a break. So, hit up !survey while you wait for the games to come back. For now, we'll see you in just a little bit with Legacy and Direwolves coming up next.
Yeah, Maximize needs a lot of time to hit that mega status. It's going to be risky for them to look for this one, but look at Chess. Spotted on Vision, actually not, because double control was in. They go for a bit of an explosion of happiness onto this one, but it's going to be Pentanet to pick up the Dragon. They've stolen it away. Chess survives. Tramp OP. Biped for tanking. Biped for living, but that's a double kill. I've seen this happen before. Puma, gonna get a double, give him a triple, give him the quad, give him everything.
We'll decide the game. If PG didn't win this one, it's over.
Onto Kevy, very early ultimate by him now. Flash